What's going on? It's Third Coast Sports TV. Man, the boys pulled it out today. Can't believe they did as good as they did, but they pulled it out. Tom Savage finally found a niche in this offensive system that fits him, and they actually ran a lot of plays that he was good at running. Deontay Foreman, I said it in my prediction video earlier. I was wrong on the prediction, but all of the keys that I said that needed to happen and all the players that I said needed to step up, they did. Foreman, hell of a game. I'm glad he finally got his touchdowns. Miller, I said he was going to be one of the players of the game, and he was. Hop, he had a phenomenal game. I mean, I wish he would have got a couple of more catches, and, he would have got 100 yards, but him and Patrick Peterson, they had a nice little battle all day long. So, Clowney, if I think with Clowney, because he's still whiffing and he's not cranking his hips totally towards the quarterback on certain when the tackles kick him out a little bit, and when he's making the play on the quarterbacks and they happen to get past him, he needs to crank his hips a little bit more, dip down a little bit. I know he's long, but he's gonna have to dip down a little bit more than he has been doing. And I think he needs to adjust his speed because he's just running too fast. But, hey, I see y'all up in here, man. Go ahead and hit that like button, man, because y'all tell me how did y'all feel about the win today, because I think Andre Johnson coming into town telling these boys what they needed to do to get the dub, that was clear that worked. And I'm glad they didn't disappoint Texans fans, and I'm so glad that they didn't disappoint Andre Johnson in this game. It was a much-needed win. I mean, the season, for the most part, is still lost. And then now that Deontay Foreman, his Achilles is gone, we already lost Irvin for the season. So now Alfred Blue's going to have to come in and step it up big time. So responsibility on Miller now is pretty much what it's going to be like last year. But the big difference between last year and this year is that he's not being ran as many times as he was ran when number 17 was here. So I'm glad he's making plays. I'm glad he was catching the ball, and he was doing everything he needed to do. I'm real proud of what Lamar Miller did. All four guys that I said that really need to step up: Clowney, Hopkins, Miller, and Foreman. They were the keys to this game. Marcus Gilchrist, he's trash, because that touchdown that him and Kevin Johnson gave up together, because I count that together, because Kevin Johnson he got burned for 2 touchdowns today. I credit him with that second touchdown a little bit more than Gilchrist, because at the end of the day, that was his man, and he didn't even turn around to make a play on the ball. Then he gets hurt. So it's just he needs to put on some poundage. He needs to do something, or he needs to – I like his play, but he's a little bit too aggressive right now for him to be trying to, kill himself to make plays. I understand. I appreciate the effort. His effort was never the problem. It's his coverage ability, and the fact that he's hurt all the time is what baffles me about Kevin Johnson. It's clear he needs to pick up another 10 pounds. He needs to be like 210, 215 for him to be an adequate corner in this league. I feel sooner or later, because of his length, he would make the perfect safety playing the way that he does. Playing corner is a bit risky depending on who he has to guard, but he's adequate when he goes against specific corners in this league. But nevertheless, a couple of other calls that they called on J-Joe was bullshit. But J-Joe was kind of pissing me off today. It's not too often that I'm really pissed off at the J-Joe performance, but he was actually pissing me off today. Andre Hal had a good game in the secondary. Eddie Pleasant. You see, dudes don't talk about this, and I gotta say this because I call this. I had even DM'd him on Instagram like months ago when we played the playoff game, and I said that he was going to be a key contributor in that game, and he was. Using Eddie Pleasant, and how, at least the way that Vrabel's been using Eddie Pleasant, has been pretty good. So, I mean, they need to keep playing them like that. And Deku came in and made a nice little third down stop. And I noticed that I watched how he broke on the ball fairly quick. He didn't wait like Kevin Johnson and how JJ will do at times when they're backed off or proceeded. He pressed his man, and he broke on the route for a nice little pass breakup, and that didn't go unnoticed by me. So kudos to Deku for making the plays that he did. He needs to get more action, and we need to see what we really have in him. I really feel he can be a phenomenal player, judging by things that I've seen from his tape. He has nice length. He has decent speed. He doesn't really get burned like that. To me, he breaks on the ball. He presses his man. He has good strength, and he can make plays. So I feel that he shouldn't be inactive too much longer in these games, especially when we having, defensive breakdowns and we don't have the length in the defensive backfield other than Marcus Gilchrist and Kevin Johnson. And now that you got Deku, you have extra length. This a torn Achilles thing, though, with Deontay Foreman. This shit is going to set us back a little bit more, at least on the third and fourth downs when we really need chunk yardage. But Lamar Miller is running his ass off. I know some Texas fans really don't like him, and I don't know why, but this dude is being used much better this year, but he's not being used enough. They're not running enough, and they pass when they don't need to, and they run when they don't have to. Because this game looked like at the end, when we were up 31, we were up 10, and it just looked like we got the ball back, and it just looked like we gave them the ball back real quick, and I just felt like a defensive breakdown was going to happen at the end of the game. Hal ended up pulling off that interception, which was real big. I'm glad he got it, and I'm glad the defense played well, and they actually got a good stat line, and I'm glad Jadeveon Clowney got off the way that he did. That run defense, you could see it on AP's face. He was fucking frustrated. Adrian Peterson was frustrated as fuck. Like, it was unreal how frustrated he was. He couldn't believe that he was getting stopped like that. But, I credit that so much to I credit that really to the Texans defense in terms of run stoppers, because we one of the best run stopping teams and been that since the season started. So I can't really complain about how we stopping these dudes in the run game, but we need to pick that pass defense up, because Blaine Gabbert was looking pretty good for about a good 3 quarters. It wasn't really until the fourth quarter that he melted down like I knew he would. We know him too well. We've played him for seasons, and we've had his number. So I don't see why we wouldn't have it again. But even knowing all of that, because Tom Savage was the quarterback, I just didn't know how it was going to look. I mean, that fumble that he had early on, I was just like, oh, this is bad. He's fucking up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to end up losing this game. Then when he threw the interception, I mean, I was just like, man, this dude is just so trash. I was getting ready to do a video right then, but I said, nah, I'm going to wait it out. And I kept seeing Miller drop off big runs. And Ellington, man, Bruce Ellington, man, he stepped up big. But I'll say the catch of the game was when Tom Savage got out of the pocket. He rolled to the right, and he threw that 22-yard pass, and Steven Anderson came out of nowhere and caught that shit. Steven Anderson needs to be a huge part of the game plan. He is not being sought out like that. People are not really. He gets open. He makes the critical passes when you need him to, and he's effective. He moves the chains, and he has decent speed, especially at the tight end position. So they really need to incorporate him a lot more into this passing game. And he needs to be utilized more so in the red zone. I feel with Tom Savage, he needs an extra weapon, so you already have a weapon on the field, which is Steven Anderson. You use Steven Anderson to his best of his abilities, and, this offense may look a little better than we thought it could look. But Fedorowicz had an all right game. The O-line, I can't say really too much bad about them. They were opening holes for for Foreman and Miller. And they kept a pretty clean pocket for for Tom Savage pretty much the whole game. So he really didn't have no excuses to drop this game. How I saw how the offensive line was playing, and that was a huge factor in coming into this game. But the Cardinals were causing some good pressure. They were bringing blitzes. Buda Baker was playing his ass off. Patrick Peterson was playing his ass off. So was the Honey Badger. Chandler Jones was making some good pressure. But, you know, they couldn't really get to Tom Savage today. He still has a horrible time in the pocket, not stepping up and stepping to the side and sensing pressure is his problem. His internal clock is just too bad, and he needs to go ahead and get that shit corrected. So, once again, I'm going to send you the plug to Rashad Whitfield at Bliss Football Camp in Houston, Texas, the footwork king. He can get you right in your offseason if you plan on taking a deal, because I don't see you getting paid over $20 million to go play for anybody, even as a backup. You may get $8 million guaranteed, you know, when the season is over. And that's just, you know, you're going to end up being a backup, and it would be best for you to either start playing well from here on out. Like, you need to start playing like how Case Keenum is playing right now, because that man is about to get paid, and he's probably going to end up taking Teddy Bridgewater's position. The way he's gelling with the Minnesota Vikings right now is just what they need. So that's pretty much my post-game thoughts. They got out the win. They actually made it a real interesting game. And, you know, hopefully Bill O'Brien can game plan and do something against Baltimore for Monday Night Football. All right, man, I'm out.